Well, summer has flown by, and that means it's officially back to school time.
It is. Lots of things on the parents' checklist. For most, this includes a trip to the dentist. And joining us this morning is Dr. Antonio Cardenas, pediatric dentist with UTHealth Houston and UT Dentist. Dr. Cardenas, good morning, and thanks for being with us.
Good morning. Thank you very much for the invitation.
Absolutely. First up here, doctor, how often should our kids be getting their teeth checked and cleaned? And what would you say is the average that most people wait in between visits?
Well, actually, there are 2 times in life when they should see the dentist more often. Between 0 to 3 years of age, we see the kids, the patients, every 3 months to make sure that those baby teeth come in the normal order, that they come in proper alignment to avoid oral habits, to avoid early childhood caries. Once they reach the full primary dentition, when all the baby teeth are in the mouth, around 2.5 to 3 years of age, we start seeing them twice a year. Most patients comply with this, but some of them will forget and only consult when there is pain or when there is something that is concerning to the mother or the father. But most patients do comply with that at least twice a year visit to the dentist.
Yeah, very important. You don't want to wait until it's too late. Doctor, are cavities a big problem with kids' teeth these days? It was probably the only thing I heard growing up.
Yeah.
It is. Actually, caries is a chronic disease. If I remember correctly, I think it's the 5th most common disease in the list of diseases. The nice thing about caries is that it's possible to avoid them completely. All you need is a little bit of discipline. Discipline in toothbrushing, dental floss, avoiding sugars in excess, visit the dentist frequently, and it's possible to prevent dental caries. That's why we insist on seeing the patients every so often to prevent caries from appearing.
And I imagine, doctor, limiting things like, not brushing teeth before bed, after a bottle especially, or kids having candy, everything in moderation, but it's so important to keep on top of those things with your kids.
Well, basically, the advice I give to mothers are 3 things regarding sugars. Limit the amount of sugar. Limit the frequency of how they eat sugar. Like, it's not the same to have 1 piece of cake in 1 single serving than to eat that same serving in 3 or 4 times, 3 or 4 periods. And of course, brush your teeth before going to bed. Bugs, bacteria don't sleep.
Excellent point.
And the thing is that once we go to sleep, we don't produce as much saliva, which is a protective factor for caries. And if we have something in the mouth that has a sugar content, those bacteria are going to have a ball eating sugar and producing acid, which is in the end what produces dental caries. So going to bed with your teeth completely clean is a must.
That's very important. Okay, so what about flossing, doctor? Is this is it as important as my mother used to lecture me about?
And I hope you listen to your mother. Yes, flossing is the second part of the equation. See, the toothbrush does not reach in between the teeth, and only the dental floss is the one that reaches in between the teeth and cleans those areas. Now, for children, I understand they don't have the manual dexterity to do it. It could be a little bit difficult for them. So we have these little devices that have a small piece of dental floss, and they can grab it with their hands, and it's easy. But at the beginning, my advice to all parents is do it. You do it. Don't let the child do it until they have the manual dexterity. The important thing is to create the habit at a very early age. Make sure that after dinner, after lunch, after eating, before going to bed, cleaning your teeth, brushing and flossing is part of the routine. It's like putting your pajamas. It has to be done.
Yeah, and even as the babies grow up and their teeth are coming in, they have pretty good spacing between the teeth. Still teach them flossing. My 6-year-old has a lot of spacing between her teeth, but my dentist says still get her in there with the floss and make sure she knows what she's doing with it.
That is correct. And fortunately, baby teeth very frequently have spaces in between. That helps with the cleaning. So that's important to have those spaces.
Now, doctor, what about a child that might have anxiety or fear about going to the dentist? How do parents address that?
Okay, well, that's what the specialty of pediatric dentistry is all about. Managing anxiety, behavior management in the chair. It used to be, not anymore, fortunately, that parents will tell the kids, if you don't eat your greens, the dentist is going to give you a shot, or I'll take you to the dentist if you don't do your homework. Things like that, fortunately, don't happen anymore. We start seeing kids at a very early age, 6 months of age. That's what the American Academy of Pediatric Dentistry recommends, to establish what is called an oral home, in which we evaluate the kid every 3 months for those first 2 years of life, or 3, and evaluate how are the teeth coming into the mouth, to explain to parents or to mothers how to clean those teeth clean, to explain about the importance of the different types of diets or sugars that the patient must not eat, the importance of not eating juice or sodas, things like that. So it's kind of like going to the pediatrician. In a way, we are the physicians of the mouth. And children, they go to the pediatrician when they come into the world. When they are born, the first thing they see is a pediatrician. So it's kind of the same thing. It could be scary for them, but one thing we explain to the parents is they cry, it's normal that they cry. We are just making sure that that cry is not due to pain.
Yes.
Because of fear, but not because of pain. Sure. And we have ways of treating these kids and explaining to them and having them in the chair and explain our procedures in a painless manner, explain and do our procedure in a painless manner. So that's the way we solve that, let's put it that way.
Okay. And doctor, the recommendation is still twice a year for our kids to see the dentist?
Yes, twice a year.
Okay. Yeah, my 4-year-old loves going to the dentist.
Yeah.
I don't know how we did it, but opposite to what the doctor said back in the day, that's punishment.
Yes.
No. My 4-year-old can't wait to go get her teeth cleaned.
Well,
if we keep that kind of behavior going.
We pediatric dentists, that's the essence of our specialty.
Yes,
we
indeed.
manage behavior, making sure that when they grow up as adults, they have the habits, the healthy habits, and they are not afraid of going to the dentist,
right,
because nothing bad has happened to them during their growing periods, growing times.
Yeah, it's not magic or guesswork. These pediatric dentists know what they're doing, and we appreciate what you do for our kids. Dr. Antonio Cardenas, pediatric dentist with UTHealth Houston and UT Dentist, thank you for your insight and your expertise. We appreciate all of that this morning.
Thank you very much for the invitation, and have a good day.
Thank you.